So we're looking to solve this quadratic, which means we're looking to solve for x. But the method we'll use this time is a very first step. Because it's equal to 0, we can use multiplication across the entire equation. So multiply by something. And what ends up happening is your right side will still be 0, because anytime we multiply by 0, it stays at 0. So we can do some simplification. And when we say multiplication, technically multiplication means multiplying by whole numbers or fractional numbers. And multiplying by fractional numbers is the same concept as dividing by the reciprocal whole number. Okay? So when you think of this as I'm either going to take this equation and I'm going to either divide everything by -5, or I'm going to multiply everything by -1/5. It's the exact same thing. Okay? So if we do that, this dividing by -5, well, that creates a 1 here. So we end up with 1x squared, which we'll just leave as this. When you divide by -5 here, you should end up with positive 4x. And when you divide 6 by -5, you don't get a really nice number. So it's actually much easier than writing a decimal to just leave it as the fraction -6/5. Okay? Now that we've done that, okay, we can try to make a perfect square trinomial out of this. Okay, instead of going through our quadratic formula. So let's move -6/5 to the other side of the equation. So we get 4x, and that's going to be equal to positive 6/5. And now, to make a perfect square trinomial, this is a nice whole number in this case. Okay? Let me make this question a little more difficult for myself. I'm going to change this number to 15. Okay? Which means we're going to end up with, or actually, you know what? Let's say 25. So that means we're going to end up with plus 5. And now we get 5x. Okay. So at this point, what we're trying to do is we got to put this value through a formula. The little formula reads like this: b divided by 2 squared. And this is where, again, being strong with fractions comes in very handy. We're going to replace b with 5. Okay? And I'm not actually going to go through the division. I'm just going to square it. So I get 25/4 as a value to add to both sides. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take x squared plus 5x. And I'm actually going to add 25/4 to the left side of the equation. And I'm going to add 25/4 to the right side of the equation. What's great about the left side now is we've created that perfect square trinomial, which means I can just square root the first and last terms. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 25/4 is actually whatever number we originally had before we squared it. So I don't even have to go very far. I just look to my side calculation there. It's 5/2. Then we bring down the positive sign, and this is squared. What's left is the right side. I do actually have to make these, I do have to condense or simplify these fractions, and they don't have like denominators. So I'm actually going to have to give them a common denominator. It just so happens 20 is it, so I'm going to multiply this whole fraction by 4 and the top and bottom of this fraction by 5. That's going to give us 24/20 plus 125/20. Okay? The process of solving this, I'm running out of room here unfortunately, is still x plus 5/2 squared is equal to 24 with 25 is going to be 149/20. Let's jump to the next page here very quickly. I wonder if I can copy this. Oh yeah, amazing. We're at this point. I have to square root both sides of the equation, just like you've seen a couple times over. When I square root this, we end up with x plus 5/2. And then this number here, we're just going to leave it as a positive or negative square root. We're going to say plus or minus the root of a fraction, which is 149/20. Okay? The final step here ends up being x is equal to negative 5 over 2 plus or minus, which means you'll get two answers at this point, 149 over 20. And that's the elongated process of what they're trying to accomplish here.